All right, everybody, welcome back to part two of an honest conversation with App Pirate Software. We left off at Dr. K reading a tweet that Mr. Pirate Software Jason made, and obviously it was inflammatory.
We expected that to last like maybe 10 days. The internet generally doesn't care about things a super long period of time. 100 days?
Yes, and it keeps going on because there are people who have perceived you as a soft target and that they can farm you. And they will milk you until you are dry.
Yeah,
Still
so
people in chat like spamming and getting
like mosquitoes.
banned, and like that's wild.
this is you were right.
And it's not everybody, right? Those are the crazy content creators that are just cloud obsessed. They're just cloud chasers, right? Those people that are really keeping it alive.
This is wild. So we're gonna like try to understand this, okay? So God, this is gonna be tough. Okay, so let me start with this. So let's say that you do something, right? Let's say you take an action in life. In the response, would you agree that the response that you are getting is disproportionate to the actions that you've taken?
He needs
I
a
would
fidget toy.
absolutely agree with that,
He's
yeah.
fidgeting
Okay.
with his hands.
So
So
let's
he
say I
could
was
use
in
a
the
fidget toy.
It doesn't mean I was in the right, but I do think the response is disproportionate.
I'm with you, okay? So I'm gonna start by
I don't think it's disproportionate on an individual level, to be clear. I think each person individually that responds with that thinks that they're the only one responding with it, or that they don't feel like it's that big of a deal because it's just one person and they don't understand scale.
No, it's actually quite the opposite. Think about it. No, they know that everyone else is doing it. That's why they feel like it's good to do. It's actually the opposite. They actually are going with the herd.
So I concur with that too. So let's start with a couple of like really basic things. So the first is I do not believe this is a judgment that I'm making. You're welcome to disagree, but I think the majority of people who are on the internet, I would hope, can agree that something that happens on a stream involving a hardcore raid does not warrant a death threat. That's my first axiom. Okay. The second thing is that
I would hope so.
even if we think you're an asshole, that the amount of psychological punishment you are experiencing is at this point sufficient. So, I would encourage everyone who is watching this, listening to this, if shit gets clipped out of context, and because I think this could, go wahoonie shaped real quick, please, if y'all are disseminating information about this conversation, please include this part, which is that we're all human beings who do the best, generally speaking, that we can. Do people make mistakes? Absolutely. Are you allowed to get mad at them? Absolutely. Should you do death threats? No. But also, I want everyone who is a hater on the internet to really stop for a second and think about what the hate does to you.
And the response, and I read a comment, was, it feels good.
Right? Like, you're hurting another human being, but like, for what purpose? Like, I think it's just kind of, it doesn't make the world a better place. I know that in the moment you feel like, oh, I want to put someone in their place. Like, I'm like, he needs to be taught a lesson, he needs to be taught, he's like, oh my God, like, you did this. And like, and I understand those feelings. I'm not even saying that those feelings are wrong.
It's funny because he does actually go on to call this out, and then the comment comes anyway, right?
But also, like, I don't know how else to say this. Like, it's just a
Pathetic
bit much. I don't think it's
comment,
actually helpful in the long
pathetic
run.
people
You guys are doing all this crap to Thor. It's not clear to me that he understands why you're doing it. Okay, and I think that's the first place where we're going to start. Does that make sense, Thor?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I can understand being mad about it at the beginning. Like, I get it. Your favorite streamer's character died. Like, that's going to make you upset. I was smug about it at the time. I get it. I made a mistake in a dungeon. The dungeon didn't go well. Everyone, like, 2 people died. Like, I understand being angry then. I don't understand thousands, and I mean thousands of people 100 days later still on it. Like, that's really weird to me. That's not something I could get, right?
So this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm wondering if there's some way that I'm going to play around with.
Oh yeah, no, they're piloted now.
That's okay. So I'd encourage everyone who's watching this right now to just give Thor a break for just a hot second. And don't just reflexively knee jerk like, okay, like we're going to talk. Can you see this?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
It is now on stream as well.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so hopefully this isn't too laggy because I think I'm just doing a ton of screen sharing. And
my UI is not the best for this.
Okay, death threats.
Got it.
Okay, over here is your act. So
yeah, I can see that.
What they're responding to is something in here, in between your actions. Like you're evoking a response. So here's your actions.
Okay, I don't think this is helpful.
And then
because maybe he's going to do something with this. I don't know.
There is some kind of equation that maybe has let's call it a multiplier, and then over here we end up with harassment. So does this make more sense? Like if we want to understand why this is happening to you, how this is happening to you, there is some Hello? Can you hear me, Thor?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, you're roboting out really hard. I think that response was like 15 seconds ago.
Okay, so let me see.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh no.
I wonder if let me try.
Yeah, his internet is dying.
Oh boy. That's terrible. Give me a second. Let me see if I can fix this way. Hold on, chat. Can you hear me now, Thor? Testing?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I wonder if, let me see, just make sure that...
I can hear you, but I don't think you can hear me in real time.
Okay. I'm going to just change. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can we count in sync? 1, 2, 3,
okay,
4.
So it's about a 5-second delay.
Oh boy. Hold on. Hey, what's going on? Okay, I will do that. Okay, I have stopped. Okay, is this better? Thor? Testing 1, 2, 3?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
You good? Okay, so now we have mostly in time. So
Okay.
It's like less than a second delay.
Okay, cool. So I think this is pretty normal, and we're going to get back to it, okay? So if we look at, let me go back to this. Let's see if this works. And
I'm going to grab your stream and then bring it up on here so then we can see what you're drawing on my stream.
Yeah, give me just 1 second. There we go. Okay, so I think I'm back to, just pull me up on the stream. Okay,
Yeah.
So if we look at it, right, so there's your actions, and then there's like various amplifying effects that result in the level of harassment that you receive, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I can understand that. Completely.
So, and then let's like toss in, like there's another variable here which is like memeing. There's another variable here which is like momentum. There's another variable here which is like content creators hopping on. Content reactions, right? So each of these things is an amplifying effect. Agreed?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you, in your gut, do you think that this plus these things is sufficient to explain, not say that's justified, but explain what you are going through?
I don't think so, because I think the internet would have given up about it.
I completely agree. So I think there's a big variable.
Too long-lived.
There's a big variable. You've tapped into something that people really don't like. Okay? So, and here's what I'm kind of hearing. So I'm going to just like write some things out here, okay? So these are just kind of things that you've said. And I wonder if this will like...
I actually disagree. I think the thing that's keeping it alive, as I said in part 1, is the grifting. The idea that it's like Jason's a soft target and we can just farm him forever. That's what keeps it alive. That is that variable. Because realistically, like that, people who are uncreative, uninspired, and don't have any talents, yeah, they're gossips. That's what they do. Right? They just talk about other people. They ain't got anything going in their lives. They just want to talk about other people. So if they can like get people super riled up and mad at someone and like be part of that and like keep that anger going, that's clicks, it's views. Like, yeah, that's all it is.
Okay, so first thing is that there's death threats. That's bad.
Really annoying.
Yeah.
There's banning a lot of people. There is ghost dying. There is people...
that wasn't even the first time that happened.
Trolling you about this.
Yeah.
There's people calling you a pedophile. There's someone's kid calling you whatever.
Yeah, the roach thing.
Okay. Right, and then the other thing is there's your like making sense of it. So there's like kind of this Gish Gallop. There's you said something about these people like ... like, you know, these people are like why are they doing this? Like you were talking about like what these people...
The best way I put it is, it seems like some people think that they want to be part of that because it's something that's like greater than themselves. Like they're part of a story, they're part of a narrative. A lot of people that were engaging with OnlyFans stuff were seeing it as like being part of that. And there were some of them who kept coming back and saying like, when are you going to jump back in and go and kill the people that called you out in that dungeon? And like, they thought it was like a story and they didn't realize like, this is not like a reality show. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have such a difficult time like fathoming that someone like you actually exists. That's why they think it's a bit. They just simply don't understand you. To the point where they just think it's not like it's not real and it's scripted.
Right.
It's just simply a more believable explanation to them.
So I think there was a lot of that, which I also didn't expect that. That was really, they thought it was like WWE. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Okay. So like you think that they think it's WWE, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They think it's like
some people, but again, it's just because it's there's a common thread here, right? People just don't understand Pirate Software and who he is. That's like the common thread.
Right. They don't think it's
all of
real.
this.
And then, so then you use this car analogy of like, someone else is taking control of the car.
And yeah, I do. Yes. No, don't worry. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
and then I'm driving. I'm not driving.
Well, I mean, I've never spoken to him, but like certainly better than everyone else does on the internet.
I'm being punished.
Okay, I don't
Someone
quite
else
think this is going to go anywhere.
is responsible. Or have you heard of people who get accused of things and say, I didn't do that thing, but there are other people who continue to insist that they did that thing?
Yeah, it's called Every Day That Ends in Y on the internet.
Okay. What about things that are not on the internet?
I don't know. Like
Okay.
that seems like a pretty normal thing among humans.
Yeah. So has there ever been someone in your life that you felt was like had done something and you were really confident that they had done something and they were like, that's not really how it happened?
I was confident. Like I felt that before in my life. Yeah. And then I either want like proof or not proof. If I don't have enough proof, then like I'm not gonna. What am I gonna?
Oh, I like that. Proof. Proof. You have to go look and you have to have evidence. One person is like, more likely than not, it's not going to be exactly 50-50. Someone's going to be a little bit closer to reality, and we're going to use evidence to determine who that is.
Be mad about at that point. I guess is the basic way that I usually feel about that. Like if I have an accusation against somebody, I'm gonna be like, hey, this is how I feel about this. And then they go, hey, well, here's evidence to the contrary. Let me talk it out. That's generally how that is. I think when I was younger, I was a lot worse at that, obviously. That's something I think that you learn over time, is like
Yeah.
how to conflict resolve in a way that is sane, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So is
Yeah, use evidence. Yeah.
sane.
When
So-
I say is sane, I mean more like conflict resolve based on things that are provable or not provable. Not
Right.
just,
Yeah, use evidence. Yeah.
I'm with you. And how does that work out?
well, when I'm talking to people who are older, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I find that for me, there's very few people that are younger that can have conversations like that. There's still ones that
Yeah, that's just not going to land well. I actually don't know if I agree. I feel like a lot of like older people are actually the ones that can't do this, and younger people are actually more likely to like engage with the reality and talk evidence through.
will. But I find like usually people past their mid-20s is when they start to be able to do conflict resolution better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want more of a
It's just
trust but
like
verify
not
kind of
what
approach,
he
which is
should
like,
be
I trust
saying.
that you're telling the truth from your perspective, but I
He's just making people more mad at it right now.
need to verify your claim before you get mad, right?
Okay. So I want you to just like, we're going to tunnel down into that for a second. Okay. So let me just understand this. So like people who, your method of conflict resolution sounds super reasonable, right? It's like, if you've got proof, then you push forward. If you don't have proof, you kind of let things go. And then when I ask you, how does that work? And you're like, well, if people are mature, it works great. But if it doesn't work for them, they're immature.
I wouldn't say that.
That's not what he said, though. Actually, that's not what he said. He's saying that in his experience, it tends to work better to work for a certain group of people. And I don't know, maturity is what he's going for, because why I hear that, I hear maybe that's possible yet, but it could be the case that he's talking about a cultural shift that's occurred. And you being younger it's just part of a culture shift. And I would argue that boomers have a culture where they don't really look at evidence, honestly. So, is it because of their age? No, their age isn't doing it. The thing is just that culture just isn't very evidence based, not very data driven, from what I've experienced. And if you go younger, my experience is more likely to be that way. Now, even though I don't agree exactly with what Jason said, like I kind of understand what he's saying, and I feel like Dr. K is already starting to not quite vibe on the same level.
They're immature.
I know
like
you wouldn't say that.
accusation as a result.
I'm using that word. You use the word young, but I think the implication of that is that there's like a value judgment on people who that works for.
Damn, it's happening. This is where the conversation, I guess, officially is starting to derail and go off the rails, because this is what happens when you had a conclusion in mind when talking to somebody. Now everything looks like a nail when you have a hammer, and Dr. K is now firmly grasped his hammer, and that is that there's ego here, and he has this egotistical value judgment he's putting on people.
And a value
I'll tell you this. If that was actually the case, it wouldn't be this bad. If someone was a super narcissist, they actually wouldn't be getting it as bad. And you can actually look at Hassan Piker, and he is a narcissist. He sends his community after people to silence them, and to some extent it works. And Hassan doesn't get it as bad. what Hassan's done is worse, absolutely worse, and he doesn't get it as bad, and he's bigger. He's way bigger, and he's a politics streamer, right? But to some extent, Narcissist does actually deflect, and to some extent, to some people, that does work. What Jason doesn't work in any realm because he's not trying to deflect.
Judgment on people who that doesn't work for.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, I absolutely do a value judgment. Like when somebody comes in and goes, "You're this, this, and this," and I go, "No, I'm not." And they're like,
I do a value judgment to people who don't ever use evidence to just like call people out, right? Yeah, right. They're already talking past each other, completely talking past each other.
And then they just spew a bunch of vitriol. I just ban them, right? Like that value judgment at that point is like, okay, this is a person that is not able to have a normal conversation. They don't want to have a normal conversation. They just want to spew some like garbage. They don't care what's true. They just want to fight about it. And then I don't want them here, right? And
there are some people actually like that, yeah.
That's where I do that kind of evaluation of like.
And you know what? In his case, it probably is better to ban him, yeah. Right? He's not even doing anything wrong. You know, he's not built like me, where I can like just make them look foolish. Right? I can do that, but he's just not really.
Like, are you cool enough to like, are cool-headed enough to have a conversation, or do you just want to shout what you saw on Reddit? You know, that's really what that is.
So, what is you? So this is the trolling that you receive is fine, but for the people who got upset with you, what is your understanding of the most rational reasons why people got upset with you? Let's forget about the trolls for a second, huh?
You know, 100%. It's because I was smug. Right?
What does that mean?
It means that in this situation, in that moment, it appeared that I didn't feel remorse. And people thought that I didn't apologize. They thought that I didn't care. They thought that I wanted those characters to die or some weird shit with that. But no one stopped to actually ask me. They just saw the clips out of context that made it look like I was a big villain, right? And like, I get that. But if you want to talk about that stuff, if you want to believe that, you should probably just come ask me.
So hold on a second.
Well, yeah, you should probably go look. Yeah, I agree. Nobody goes and looks anymore.
How do you know that they formed their opinions based on the clips?
Good question.
Because they repeat verbatim the same message over and over again that we can only find on places like Livestream Fail, the Reddit. It is.
Yes, because they're coming to him with an incomplete context that is the same. It's like, oh, this is an analogy. Imagine like you're a teacher, right? And you give out a test. You know how like just because like two people sit next to each other doesn't mean they were cheating, but just because like those same two people got the same two answers wrong, and they gave the same wrong answer, still not quite sure they're cheating. But once they've gotten like several questions on the test wrong and they give the same wrong answer, then you're just like, okay, you guys are cheating, right? That's how you know it's right. They're all saying the same thing. That is the same misinterpretation of what's happening. That's how he knows.
Copy pasted information, the same exact messages, the same exact thing. They had like the same phrases over and over again for this kind of stuff. And the only way that you get that is if people are getting it all from the same source.
Yeah, the way you've presented this and the way I presented this are different, and I've explained it better.
Okay.
I just gonna tell you.
You've done more than during your retreat? Yeah, and I said so in social posts, but nobody cared about those. I think that was one of the weirdest things about it is like, I said, yeah, I could have done more in this. I said everybody made mistakes in there, including myself, but
I actually do. I really like this guy. He's so funny.
To continue the drama.
So Thor, when I point this stuff out, do you notice anything with all the stuff that I've written out?
Of course he does it. Of course he does it.
Like, does anything kind of pop to you or not so?
He's so autistic. I genuinely, I really love autistic people. I actually do. They're so funny. And I can see that because I love autistic people when they're all the time. The traits that are funny to me when they inconvenience me, right? I love it. And then I love it obviously when it's something that doesn't, or when it benefits me. I just always love it.
Much.
Trying to deflect from like personal ownership over something, but I don't think I'm doing that. So
yeah, because he just can't wrap his head around all this. It's just too much, right? It's not an intelligence thing. And that's why it's so difficult for him, because he's trying to use intelligence to solve a problem that you can't really use intelligence for. Yeah, it's like a perception problem. It's a perception problem, and you can't change that. You can't just increase that, you know?
I'm not sure.
Why do you say that?
Because you put I'm not over on the right side.
Okay.
Yeah. Would that be the only reason for that?
Yeah. So I think I think your assessment is somewhat correct. I think there's like a couple of things that are like blind spots, is what I would call them.
Yeah, there are.
So the first is that I've noticed that this is what's so tricky about this. I think that objectively you're correct. I don't think that anyone deserves the degree of harassment that you've received. I hope people stop. I really wish they stop, and I mean that genuinely. And at the same time, I notice just the way that I hear you speak.
The only thing on my mind is, you know what? Make me be your PR guy. They will stop. Don't worry. We're not going to change your message. We're going to change how you deliver it and how aware you are of your message, and it will stop.
I notice certain blind spots or narratives that are constructed. So the first thing that
I'm nervous about talking about it, to be clear. Like it's a defense mechanism entirely because of the fact that this has been going on for so long. It involves all of my staff. It involves my.
This is so sad. He uses the word defense mechanism. He's actually trying so hard. He's trying so hard. He's like trying to be vulnerable and everything, and it's just like, it's so sad.
Family. It involves my general well-being. It involves my physical security of events. It involves all that stuff, and it makes me nervous to talk about it. So it's hard to articulate in a time like that without. I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. For how autistic he is, that is incredible that he is able to hold this together.
It's just hard to articulate, if that makes sense.
Okay, so that begs two questions. One important one, which is, are you sure that we should be talking about it?
Well, I mean, it's already too late.
No, it's not.
I'd rather talk about it.
No, it's not too late. We can stop. We can stop right this second.
Good. Thank you, Dr. K. This is goodbye, Dr. K.
I would rather talk about that, and the reason why is because
you should have just made the call to cut here, in my view. But that was his call at the time. That's not my call. He's a Harvard psychiatrist. I'm not. So I'm gonna trust that he had a good reason to keep going. And Jason's the one that said he wanted to keep going.
Because I find, and this is a very serious part, right? I find that if you don't talk about this, it's not going to help other people, right? Like I get it. I'm going through it right now. But this is something I think needs to be talked about because
if he just stopped talking about it, it actually would all go away.
The amount of hate and abuse that's going on from this isn't just going to happen to me.
Okay.
I know.
I agree. I think that you are pretty unlucky here, but I think you are the unlucky person who has tapped into something very fundamental in human psychology that has like triggered the shit out of people.
Likely, yeah.
Okay. So I want you to notice.
It doesn't trigger people that bad.
What just happened? Okay, so it's now that you're insisting that we talk about it. Fair enough. I said, hey, I'm noticing something about your narrative, and what was your answer?
You know, if it triggered people that much, I just don't think that. Yeah, it's funny because we have such a great example of someone who is actually like this, like everything that people accuse Jason of being in Hassan Piker. And, you know, Hassan doesn't even show up to Dr. K. You know, Hassan will never go on Dr. K. Because he's not even going to put himself in that position to begin with. That's what a narcissist does, right? Narcissists is like very controlling of the environments they're in where they're being perceived, right? Jason is not really controlling those environments. Jason's kind of letting Dr. K just do stuff, right? And ask some questions, and he's trying to be vulnerable. It's just not narcissist behavior. There's so many reasons why you could just see he's not exhibiting narcissistic behavior.
That was like deflecting.
What do you mean?
It's unless we're talking about something else.
No, what we just talked about. I said, hey, I'm noticing something about your narrative, and then you said what?
Yeah. That I was like deflecting or trying to push off blame onto somebody else.
Okay. Yes. And then what did you say after that?
I don't remember.
Okay. So then what you said is, the reason I'm doing it is because I'm anxious.
Yeah.
The funny thing is he's actually not deflecting. And I thought you just said that you didn't think you were doing that. But you're really not deflecting. right? He's putting himself down to a level where people can kick him. That's what he's doing. He's not a narcissist.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Right. I'm worried.
There we go. Okay.
He's actually kind of saying that he's doing like narcissistic things, but he doesn't understand that he's actually painting himself out to be that way. Right? He's actually validating a lot of people's perceptions of him right now.
Right. So the interesting thing is that, like, you're doing something really interesting, which is that, like, you provide a very logical reason, which is very compassion inducing for why you are doing the thing that you're doing. Right. So,
okay. Oh man. Do you really think he's a compassion inducing kind of guy though? Do you really think so? I mean, I will say, to some extent, everybody seems kind of autistic to me. So, I'm not sure. Do you think this is particularly compassion inducing?
like, who in their right mind, when you say, yeah, the narrative that I'm creating is because I'm afraid for my physical well-being, like,
Yes.
how is that challengeable?
It's not.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think what you are doing is something that is, I don't know what word to use, has a negative valence to it. You're doing something that's bad, and the way that you respond to it makes it unchallengeable.
What do you want him to do? What if that's just how he feels, man? You're not allowed to talk about it because other people are gonna react away? Or you can't be. Yeah, I don't think that matters. I don't think that matters.
You're doing this thing over and over and over again.
Okay.
Right. So the way that you're
would be negative about that though.
What?
That's what I'm trying to understand. I said.
Yeah, true. What's negative about that?
What about that is negative?
That's a very excellent question. So now we get to something really interesting about human psychology. So if I'm pissed at you, and you take away my reason to be pissed at you, what do? You
get pissed, more pissed.
Absolutely. So how?
So you're saying that basically it's created a bunch of anger, and that by having a situation and talking about it and showing like, hey, this is what's going on, it's created a scenario where people are more angry because they don't have a vent. They have a way of getting it out.
That is where we are. Hold on, let me just fix this real quick.
That's a good question because like Thor just doesn't understand what's going on, so he's trying to, right?
Because I wonder if you're going quiet again, so I just check you. So I think that is the first step to it, right? So there's something that people, deflecting is maybe a good word. There's something that you're deflecting that then.
I don't think he's not deflecting anything. He's just failing to understand. It's like it's not even entering his mind in the first place. You can't deflect away from something that you're not aware of. Okay, like that's the thing.
Triggers people to like, because they're not getting what they want from you. Does that make sense?
Yes. So
okay.
There's an alarm going off.
No. That's the thing. That's where you're wrong. He actually gives people exactly what they want. He gives people validation for everything they think about him all the time. Like he's done in this interview. Like he gives people content all the time. Validation. He's a narcissist all the time. He's just not aware he's doing it.
So now the question kind of becomes like, I don't know if this sort of makes sense, but I think when I hear your story, what I hear is, and this is what's so tricky about it, is like, I think everything you've said is logical because you kind of base things on sort of proof, right? But I'm
man, if I had a nickel for every time a psychiatrist misdiagnosed a autistic person with BPD, right?
Noticing that like the way
literally happening in real time, Dr. Takei said,
that you accept responsibility is like 1% of what your narrative is. So you say that you were smug.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm smug. I just fucking earned that shit. Okay. That's the difference.
Super smug about it.
And
you can be smug.
I think that feels like a tiny, tiny, tiny part of your narrative.
I think it's only a tiny part of the narrative because it's the flashpoint. It's the moment that started, right?
Sure.
So it's hard to make that larger in the story. But yeah,
people are sheep, man. One of the people in this event called him a narcissist, and once he used that word, it just caught on, right? And then there's the validation, right? It's that Jason goes on and he validates that perception repeatedly, and he's just not aware he's doing it.
I think it sounds to me like, and like now I'm going to say something that's like, this isn't, I don't know what better word to say. I think it's not the flashpoint. I think it's the fuel.
Okay.
So
you think that was a catalyst for something else?
I think this sounds judgmental, but I think the way that you responded in that moment, so you said early on, you made some kind of like joke, right? Where you, like someone said run, and then you said,
the internet is full of bots. It's full of fake content, it's full of AI, blah, 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 right? And it's very rare to see people who can generate a lot of actual human traffic. And Jason's one of those people, okay? And he's getting farmed, basically sucked dry by parasites who, you know, is it personal? Honestly, it's not even personal. They just know it gets views, right? And that is, in my view, the fuel.
I don't want to be like, I don't want to piss them off.
You can't stay mad at somebody for being a certain way forever. It's just like systemically rewarded to hate on him because of the algorithm. It's just that's how.
So I'm going to make a joke instead of saying, "Bro, I ran because you told me to run." You remember when you said that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that there's like little things that you're doing that. So if I made the call to run, and then you ran, and then I was like, "Bro, why are you running?" And then you say you made the call to run. How is that? Why would you not say that?
Good point. In his case, it's because he's like way too self-critical, right? Yeah, you should just be able to feel. You should be able to feel like you can say that. You shouldn't feel like you can't say that, otherwise people are going to be upset.
Right. Like the reason I'm doing this is because I was listening to you.
Yeah, no, legitimately, that's the one thing, and I've talked about this before, is like if I would have just turned around and be like, you told us to. If I would have just said that, I feel like this whole thing would not have been like this.
I agree. So I think that the interesting thing here is that I suspect that there are a dozen other things like that.
Well,
so just the way that your narrative sounds to me, and let me know if like this is rubbing you the wrong way, or like you think I'm an asshole, or if this is like please let me know. But I think that
no, actually, autistic people are really good about like people being blunt to them. You can be super blunt to an autistic person, and they'll just take it, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay," and they'll just adjust. It's beautiful. It's genuinely beautiful.
Something about this story has something that I would call the missing reasons.
Okay.
I'm not saying
for me, it's whatever it is, it's a blind spot.
Yeah.
Because right? Like for me, I'm just like, this was me being smug, and it exploded out of control. And for me on this side, it just feels like a lot of content creators leaped onto it because it got popular to talk about. It became kind of like an issue, and it generated a lot of views.
Yeah. So
it just kind of went nuts.
And so I want you to just pay attention to that for a second because you're doing it again. Why did this blow up?
Because I was smug?
No.
I don't understand what you're trying to say.
No. Why did it amplify?
I'm really glad he's channeling this, bro. That is not why.
Why? Who's to blame for the amplification?
I will ponder upon this question as they speak.
The amplification I could generally say is Reddit and other content creators. Like I feel very steadfast in that opinion on that. I don't think this would have reached the audience that it did or become as large as it was on the internet without that. So you're talking over 100,000 viewers worth of people.
Yeah, so that I think is 100% true and is indicative of what the problem is, right? Because what happens, what I'm noticing that you're doing is like every step of the way, you made one tiny mistake. But the way that you are reacting, I don't think a fire can get this big without a content creator's interaction. And the way that you're responding to each of these situations is only fanning the flames.
Yes. But it is not due to doing it in like an egotistical way. It's doing it in a clumsy way. The clumsiness is what's making it so extreme, not the substance.
And I think like you're saying this, right? Like you've tried everything. Like you've tried
doing nothing.
You've tried doing nothing. You've tried doing everything, and nothing seems to be working. Which I know seems like nothing is working, but if you are consistently getting the same result and you are altering certain variables in that equation, what that implies is that there's one variable that's not being altered.
Yeah, and that's
you know what's happening is Dr. K is speaking super logically right now, so he has tapped into this idea that he needs to speak really logically with him, which is interesting, right? Is Dr. K is convinced of him being like BPD and NPD in his head as I think he is.
I look to the outside source because I'm like, I've altered the way that I interact.
But the outside source is relatively consistent because people go through drama all the time. And maybe this is a leopard's ate my face moment. Maybe this is a moment where I can say this now, and a month from now, when I'm in your position, I'm going to be like, holy shit, was I wrong? Right? Like maybe this is not the way, but either.
Well, Dr. K, your haters your ops just look unhinged all the time, and that's why it's so much easier for you because they just always look bad. That's why you're not in that position.
Your whole point is that the amount of hatred that you're receiving.
Actually, Dr. K, this can't happen to you. This will never happen to you.
Is disproportionate not only to what you did, but is even outside of the norm of what other content creators experience. Like, yes. I've been through shit. I've had people get on my case and stuff like that, and then stuff usually calms down, right?
Yeah, because they look unhinged. Or you don't want to be a Dr. K hater because you just look crazy. Is generally what ends up happening, right?
Yeah. For most of us, we all get these kinds of problems where people are really mean to us. I don't think they understand. No snowflake thinks it's responsible for the avalanche. But what I see is a guy who is, everyone thinks they're snowflakes, and you're getting swamped by an avalanche. They don't understand that. I think people on the internet don't now know how to understand it until you are on the receiving end of hate from thousands upon tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and people.
Yeah, they're just part of the herd, and they're just doing what the herd's doing. I agree. They actually just don't understand.
People who are just piling on. Once the bully starts kicking you when you're down, the internet is like 1,000 other people who are going to get in a lick because it feels good. And I think you're doing something that is absolutely hitting a trigger point.
And you know what's funny? There's something about taking away someone's reason to be mad at you that I am really good at. And there's something about doing this to somebody and then you just kind of lord it over them and you taunt them and mock them, that it gets them to be to where they can't even look at your general direction anymore. Which, yeah, I may have a little experience with this in real life. But my point is that you tapped this whole hypothesis, right? You've tapped in this idea of people are upset at you, and then you totally destroy that reason for them being upset at you, and then that makes them resent you in a certain way, right? Where it just doesn't cause this. I'm familiar with this, and it just doesn't do this. It just never really does do this.
And I suspect that
that's why I really don't think it can be that.
You're getting into just with the way that you describe things, it's very much like I did this tiny thing, and then all of this stuff is happening to me that I don't have any influence over.
And he does not, because he doesn't understand it. If he doesn't understand it, how can he change it? How can he interact with it? Right? There's nothing he's doing wrong, because it's, again, a matter of perception. If he doesn't see it, then how is he supposed to do anything about it?
And objectively, these people are wrong. Objectively,
well, now you put objectively in there, and I think Jason's going to push back on that.
Correct. And when someone does that and says, I am objectively wrong, I'm objectively right and you are objectively wrong, this is not what happened, this is what really happened, and by the way, all this shit is happening to me now, it's you kind of get what I'm saying? I'm trying very hard not to say certain words.
I don't see it that way, though.
I know you don't.
An objective, objective, subjective. I see it as.
But why does he not see it that way, Dr. K? Because there's multiple reasons why someone would not.
It's more of a deep emotional response from people that don't care about me, or they don't care about resolving the situation. They want it to continue in some way.
Yeah, so I think
I get it, but
you don't get it. Stop saying you get it.
I don't want to be a part of it.
You don't.
It's
right. So I think that's what's fueling the flames. You don't see it that way.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how that.
Right. So when I live,
why would you care for so long?
We'll get to.
We'll get to that, but unfortunately, you actually will not.
That in a second. But I think that this is another thing, which is that you're thinking a lot. Okay, so we're going to talk about something called mentalization. Okay. So when you imagine what is going on in someone else's head, I don't think you are doing nothing you're saying is incorrect, but I think everything you're saying is pretty incomplete.
Great observation. See, I don't know how he wouldn't think about it. The Jason's autistic. I actually don't understand how this is not coming to his mind. It seems like he's on that track. Just listening to this, right?
Right. So you're saying like, okay, there's a parasocial aspect. You're completely right. Like you're right about everything you're saying. I just think the main mistake, if you can call it that, the cognitive process that is really getting you in trouble is incompleteness. So,
or imperception. Because how does he become complete? He has to see something that he cannot see. How is that his fault?
I don't understand.
I know. I know. I'm like 99% confident that this is going to be very hard. And
but see, this is where I don't understand. It's actually not supposed to be hard for Jason. This is because this isn't a Jason problem. This is an us problem. This is a Twitch problem. This is a YouTube problem. This is a world problem. This is not a Jason problem. It ain't supposed to be hard for Jason. It's actually supposed to be hard for everybody except Jason. And we're the ones that are supposed to meet him where he's at. It's actually our responsibility to go to him. Because there's a lot of value in this guy. And we're the ones that are failing to utilize that. It's our fault. It's our fault.
I think this is why you're in this situation, because this is like, it's like, you're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know. I've tried everything.
And I get that Dr. K is not talking to the world. He's talking with Jason, right? But that doesn't really matter because Jason can't do anything about this. Not by himself.
What they're saying is just not true. The reason that I know that these people are not valid is because they copy pasta each other, right? Do you see how much
they copy pasta? As you say, they copy pasta incomplete answer. They copy pasta a conclusion that people would not be coming to if they were not looking at incomplete context, which is actually true.
I think that's not
right. Is it wrong? Now, again, I can do what you're doing, and I can say, "Oh, it's not wrong. It's just incomplete." Okay, that is actually what they're doing, though.
Not everyone, right? There are some people that are just upset because they saw me as like some pure holier than thou content creator, which that's not realistic. I'm a human being.
Oh, they didn't see the way you're phrasing it is not accurate, but it's not your fault.
Hold on.
Some people
whoa. No, I don't agree with that.
No, I definitely do, because there are some that have messaged me with stuff like that.
Again, they haven't messaged you with stuff like that. That's just how you're misreading it. You're just misinterpreting it that way.
There are definitely people that felt that.
Yeah, I know they felt that, but I don't think that you're an ordinary content creator. I don't think you're an ordinary human being. I think you're a superhuman being.
What?
See, it just sounds like he doesn't know he's autistic. I don't understand. Why not just say that?
Yeah. How do you think about yourself?
I don't know. I don't generally.
I think
you have bad interoception. You forget to eat meals or drink water, right? It's like pretty easy to just like be in a certain position that's like physically comfortable for hours. Then you get up and you're like, oh my gosh, this really hurts. Actually, yeah, I get it. I'm marrying someone like this. Yeah.
Right. So if you don't think about, I know it's weird. Like I'm sending you a lot of weird stuff. Right. So I think that if you don't think about yourself on a regular basis, the version of yourself that you will have on your mind that then projects out to the outside world is not going to be an ordinary human being.
But he's not. He just doesn't have good interoception, though. But if he doesn't know he's autistic, Dr. K should know that he's never really gonna do well with this, right? Also, if Dr. K knew, like, wouldn't he know about this concept of interoception, and like, wouldn't he be able to start predicting, like, well, do you have like a hard time remembering to eat, right? Like, how far does this go? Like, do you, right? If you're like really locked in, hyper focused on something, how long can you go without food? How long can you go without drinking?
Project exceptionalism.
I'm not sure I understand, but
I can understand that. So I think that this is going to be a situation where it's going to be very hard, and I'm going to do my best. So the first thing is I'm not right. But I think that there's something about the way that you construct narratives. There's something about the way that you are objective, but other people are subjective.
Very autistic trait.
How do you know that you're not the subjective one and they're not the objective ones?
I absolutely am subjective. I don't think that that's the case at all. There's no way that everything that I say is objective. That would be ridiculous. I think that would be absurd.
And if we go back and listen to the conversation that we've had from now, would we be able to predict that's the way that you feel about yourself?
I did.
Based on how you've been talking.
Maybe you guys couldn't do it, but I did.
I don't know.
I think the answer is going to be no, right? So when I ask you,
yeah, the answer for you is no. That's why I'm making the video.
Why do they feel this way? How do you know that they're wrong? You say, well, objectively, you rely on proof. And if you're dealing with people who are mature enough, then
that was based on your misunderstanding, though.
They understand that. But if they're people that are younger than you,
you're the one that misunderstood.
They don't. These young kids nowadays are not proof oriented. There's
no.
Parasocial.
There were questions you could have asked, though, to get clarification that you didn't.
The tricky thing about this is that you're not wrong. So I would agree with every single one of the statements that you've made.
I don't really quite understand that. I mean, you know, how would he not be wrong? Why are you even saying it if he's not wrong in some way? Right? If you're trying to fix someone's problem, aren't you trying to find some thing they're doing wrong? Right? I mean, you know, is it so bad to say that someone's doing something wrong?
But I think that
you're trying to help them.
For that. 100%.
But defense mechanism meaning what?
No, it's a defense mechanism on my end. And the reason why I did that is because it's gone on too long. And
he's just kind of accepting it. Jason, you didn't say that, though.
And it's gotten to that point where it's hard for me to have a response that is not an emotional response. Like we talked about this before.
Well, no, it's impossible. It's not hard. It's just not possible. Don't even try.
Before is like, whenever I feel like I'm having an emotional response, I just stop and I walk away for a moment, come back to it. But with this, I'm getting back into that old habit of like, I need to deflect this. I need to diffuse this.
You don't deflect things. Why are you saying this about yourself?
This is kind of...
It's actually so sad. Stop saying that. You don't diffuse. Yes, you're not deflecting. You don't know what deflecting means.
All in front of this, I don't even want to, and you just kind of put it up there and walk away from the scenario. And that's literally what that is, which is, here's my evidence, take it or leave it. And the reason why...
I don't know why.
It ends up being,
I do know why he's autistic.
My evidence, here's how I feel people are, this is the objective fact of this, is because we've had tens of thousands of people bringing that up, and it's just turned into like a callus, if that makes sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense. How are you feeling about this call, by the way? Like, is this okay?
This is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
so
a narcissist is going to feel so threatened. That's why Dr. K asked. A narcissist is going to feel really cornered, very threatened right now, and they will never stay in the call. They will not do it. Think about it. Think about this alternative world where he is actually a narcissist. He's never doing this. Ever.
So I think this is what you're... so here is what has contributed to the situation, which doesn't mean that you did something wrong. I don't think you're bad or anything like that. But I think that this tendency to walk away from your emotions and lean into logic, I don't think works very well. So I think, like, remember how we said that something that you're doing about the way that you respond to this is like triggering people harder.
There's just so much like actual self-hatred among people who are autistic that is just like genuinely heartbreaking.
Angrier and angrier and angrier, they're not letting up. Whereas like most content creators, people basically move on to trolling someone else. So anytime a content creator, like reaches out to me and they're like, hey, I'm really struggling, I'm like, the best thing that you can do is wait till they move on, because the internet is an ugly mob. And this is the other thing that you're running into, which we haven't talked about. I do think that what you project is exceptional. And one of the things that the internet absolutely loves is to take an exceptional person and make them bad. So we love tearing down.
This is true. And I will say, you just have to think about my idea of him being autistic, right? Jason, you're autistic, right? And not just a little bit, but like fairly autistic, okay? Not just a little, you're very autistic. For him to be this successful, he has to be incredibly smart, and he has to be very good at masking to be able to get this far. It's just how it is. It's really hard. And, any tool you can use to help you in this situation, you'll use it, right? In this case, he's super smart, super, super smart. I can really tell. And Dr. K can tell. And the reality is, he kind of has to be. Otherwise, he would just not make it, all right? But unfortunately, there's some problems intelligence cannot solve. And this is one of them. Doesn't matter how smart you are. You're not going to be able to solve this. because you're working with, as Dr. K says, incomplete information, and as I say, incomplete perception.
Found people who are good.
You actually genuinely need somebody. It doesn't have to be me, though I volunteer here for you if you need it, but you genuinely need someone to be your emotional eyes and ears and to like translate for you so you can actually understand.
And we love redemption arcs as human beings, right? There's like, this person thought they were the best thing since sliced bread, and we're going to fucking tear them down. I've been on the
And people like redemption arcs, and I think that, you know, the people who need a redemption arc is actually us. It's the rest of us. It's actually not Jason. We're the ones that actually need a redemption arc. And I think people like that almost the most. And that's why I'm pretty optimistic that, you know, it's really been bad for him lately, but I think that it can turn around very quickly.
Receiving end of that a lot. And then the flip side of that,
I think that makes a lot of sense. And to be clear, I don't think of that about myself, like at all. Like I'm constantly going over anything that I can do right, anything that I can do wrong. I remember all of my own mistakes and beat the shit out of myself for them whenever I do that, just like I feel like a lot of people do.
I believe you do that for the stuff that you are aware of.
Yes, for this. I mean, you
can't do it otherwise, right? Like
yeah,
how
things
can
that I'm aware of, for sure.
100%. So I think
I don't think I'm better than other people. I do think that it's funny because
I do think I'm better than other people, and I think I can easily demonstrate that. I don't think anybody pulling up showing me any evidence to the contrary. I mean, hold that shit, okay? And honestly, it feels better if you just own it.
you can't. That there's a lot of people that brought that up, and it's like I never said that I was.
No, but you clearly are smarter than most everybody. Like, even if he doesn't think that he comes off that way, like you do, though.
But you'll see there's a number of people that are in there that are getting like banned for this shit right now. It's like they come in and they're like, "Did you know that he worked at Blizzard for 7 years?" Like, yeah, that was my career, and I'm proud of that. So of course I'm going to talk about that because it gives context to talk about other things around the games industry, which is what we do on the stream.
Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah, and I get it. Like people just think that you're using that as like you being an authority figure on things. Like it makes your opinion more valuable that you worked at Blizzard. That's how people are taking that. And I know Jason just simply doesn't understand this.
I think sometimes the things that I talk
and I will tell you, if you just say that in a room full of people and then give your opinion on a topic that is like where it's not directly specifically related, that is how most people will take it. They not some people, most people will take it as you saying that you are an authority or having worked at Blizzard for 7 years. When you then go off to just talk about your opinion as a game dev on a non-Blizzard game. If you're talking about how you were a Blizzard employee for 7 years and you're talking about like from your experience how Blizzard would handle this situation while you were there, nobody would take it that way. But if you're just like, hey, I worked at Blizzard for 7 years, let's talk about Undertale. Most people are going to take it like you're some kind of authority for it. And it's going to annoy them because they're going to be like, that doesn't make you a special authority on non-Blizzard games. Like, why are you even saying this right now? And I know, Jason, I get it. That's not the intention. I get it, right? You're just not aware that people are going to take it that way, right? I get it. This doesn't make sense.
Talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting, when in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase.
Sure.
This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this. Yeah. That is the most arrogant.
But it's true, though. It's actually not.
Statement on the planet, bro.
No, it's not. He's literally internalizing self-hatred for his autism.
Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you're wrong, Dr. K. Mr. Harvard psychiatrist, get that weak ass shit out of here. You were so wrong. No. No. And I actually just gave an example. I specifically just gave an example of how you would be. I just gave an example, right? He doesn't mean it's misconstrued as arrogance, because when he says that he's worked at Blizzard for 7 years, he's not trying to be arrogant. He's just trying to like give his history But he doesn't understand. This is what he doesn't understand, is that you don't need to give your history here, right? Giving history, because you're not just like telling people your entire life story before you talk about, for example, Undertale, right? And then like going and talking about it, you're only choosing to talk about specific things. And one of the things you're choosing to talk about is your history as a game dev at Blizzard. And when people hear that, that's why they think, oh, like this, you think you're a special authority, or you think you're special because you work at Blizzard. And that's, in my opinion, that's not a rational thing at all. I would think that if someone said that, if I just heard that, I would think that that's what's being said. But I just know autistic people. And the thing is, what autistic people do is they kind of just like copy other people and what they do. And then like they have a script, but they don't really understand why other people are saying the things they're saying. So it's very common, right, for people to talk about like them working as a game dev or working at Blizzard, for example, and then talk about specifically their experiences with that. So, for example, you're reacting to, some kind of crazy drama that's coming from Blizzard, and then you're talking about how you're a Blizzard employee and how your experience kind of plays into your perspective, right? But then an autistic person will see this, and what they see is like they're just kind of talking about themselves a little bit and talking about their history, and they're doing that before the video. They're not actually linking the why it's relevant to talk about. So what he does is he actually does talk about kind of irrelevant information, and because he doesn't really understand why that information is particularly relevant in each case in the first place. But he sees other people doing it. It doesn't like sound immediately like weird, but then people are like, "Oh, you think you're hot shit just because you work at Blizzard," and then they're like making fun of him for it.
I don't see it that way, but all right.
Yeah.
Right. So, so you don't see it that way.
I'm glad you don't. That's actually genuinely, I just felt a little bit of relief, and I actually feel good that he said that he doesn't feel that way.
You're wrong.
No.
I'm
right.
glad.
I'm right. So you're subjectively.
Yeah, you were wrong. Okay. Yeah.
You're thinking you have blind spots. You're wrong.
Like, bro, your blind spot right now is crazy. That you were a Harvard trained psychiatrist apparently, and you don't know autism and you see it. Yes.
I'm objective and you're subjective.
No.
This is not.
Bro, honestly, you know what? Get him evaluated. Get this man evaluated. Go ahead, check me, humble me, and tell me he's not. And then point the finger and laugh. I'll just take the L. I'll take the L.
This is really the way it is.
I think that turns into, I guess, conversational PvP for the sake of it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It absolutely turns into conversation. That's what you're doing.
He doesn't know he's doing that, though. I'm doing it on purpose. Okay? I know what I'm doing. He ain't doing that on purpose. I can tell.
When I say I'm doing this for context?
Yes. When you're saying other people get it wrong, and here's the reality of it. Like, go back and like we can.
Bro, he right, though. I am. See, this is why I want to help him fight this fight. For everybody to be picking on the autistic guy. This is so frustrating to me.
Like rewind the stream and just listen to the structure of
that is me being adversarial against people that are trying to make it out like that is an arrogance thing, that it's a boasting thing, like I'm trying to push somebody else down. That is absolutely being adversarial against that kind of speech. 100%.
I'm not. I don't think it's so. I think there's a construction in your speech and there's a theme. If we listen, I know it's kind of hard, but you do things that are objective, right?
And subjective. No.
It's just an autistic trait that, that's how it comes off. Like, yeah, they sound like this dude. Yeah.
Human being.
Which ones do you represent? Which ones do we hear when we hear you talk?
He's trying to be right, man. Yeah, he's trying to be right. Who cares? Let him try to be right.
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay. So, for example, if we were to code statements as subjective or objective. Okay?
Okay.
Like, so coding a subjective statement is, let's say, like, I'll just give you an example. Why are people getting mad at you? Or you said something about, I rely on proof. So if I were to code that.
It doesn't mean you don't.
I know.
he would get 100%. Jason, you go get evaluated for autism, you'll get a diagnosis. I'm just telling you, I'm right. Humble me.
I feel like somebody could take it that way.
And the funny thing is, he can't fake it, right? If he does, like, because he's autistic, he can't fake it, so he'll always get diagnosed. That's kind of the beauty of it, is that there's no danger of something like that happening if he like really doesn't want to be diagnosed for some reason.
But that's not.
No. That's I'm not going there. So if we were to code that gets coded as objectively, right? That's an objective statement.
Okay, sure.
So here's a subjective statement. I feel like this is unfair.
Okay.
Have you said that at any point?
Yes.
Over this conversation?
I feel like I have said that because I was talking about the response is not proportional.
There we go.
Okay. And yeah, that is not an I feel statement. Which is true. That is an inaccuracy.
That's hold on. No. That's beautiful. That is an.
Oh, bro, look at him smiling over you, bro. You ever heard a psychiatrist talking to someone who's autistic? Like, don't be smiling like that.
The response is not proportional. That is not a statement of subjectivity. That is a statement of fact.
Yeah, it is correct.
Okay.
Do you understand how I'm coding it?
I guess I could see that. I mean, like, that's me making an objective statement when I guess somebody else could say, no, it is proportional, you deserve this, sort of a thing.
Yeah, because what he's made the mistake of is he's made this mistake because he's actually conjured in his mind a statement where you can't possibly disagree with his objective view of it. That's what he has thought of.
I guess the thing is I just don't agree with that stance, so I state it in the way that I do, right, with that. And I don't know if that's wrong, though, because I feel like there's a limit that seems sane. And by sane, I mean correct and, like, not...
Absolutely, man. There's
He's just autistic, guys. He's just autistic. He doesn't understand.
Absolutely a limit that seems...
Like, Hassan Piker just wouldn't be moving like this. Just think about the difference. Hassan would never be here right now. He'd never be saying this shit. Do you think Hassan would ever say that he deflects as a self-defense mechanism? Guys, he would never say that. Narcissists would never say that.
Insane.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be different for everybody.
No.
Whatever their version is.
No, it's not. Because you didn't say there's a limit. It's because you use the word sane. Sane is like an objective thing, right? Sane is like crazy, insane versus sane. That's not a subjective thing. That is an objective kind of assessment. Right? So, like, if we say that someone is insane, we're not saying that they're subjectively insane. We're saying that they are objective. Like, those words are about an objective dimension.
But I'm not sure I understand the direction of this. And I think the reason why is because when I'm talking about these things of an objective stance, if this is too far, is because the statements that people are making are really fucked up. Like,
yeah, it's like, really, how can people not agree, though? It's really up to Dr. K to get a better example up in here. Okay. I think the working at Blizzard thing would be much better to talk about. And that we need to shift gears in the conversation because this is just not a good example.
I do think that it is correct to make an objective statement to be like, you shouldn't be sending me pictures of my house from Google Maps. Right?
I agree. I
don't think that's wrong.
But like autistic people just do this. They just they don't make I feel statements. Right? They don't just feel things. They just know things and they're just explaining the thing they know to you. Or they just don't understand or don't know something. That's how they communicate. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Great. So let's take a step back for a second. Are you sure this is okay?
Yeah. No, okay. I guess I just don't understand the direction of subjectivity versus objectivity.
I'm with you. So I'm slow playing it. So,
and this is really tough for autistic people.
So let me be explicit. So remember, this goes back to what you are dealing with is disproportionate, right? So there's a variable.
Like actually, like my fiance gets diagnosed, and this is like a big thing on there too. And then it's like, for example, imagine, all right, there's a plate of pasta and it's right here, right? Plate of pasta is right here. And I'm sitting kind of like in this way, right? And then, it's not like a real argument, but we're like arguing a little bit. Like it's just like just a verbal back and forth, right? Calm verbal back and forth. About how like she said the pasta was behind me. And I'm looking back here, right? Think about it. I'm literally looking behind me because that's what she said it was. And I'm saying, well, no. this isn't behind you. This is like to your side. It's behind a little bit, right? And she's like not conceding this. And I'm trying to explain to her, like, okay, I actually see your interpretation. It's not crazy, right? It actually just makes sense. But I'm just saying, like, there's different ways of looking at it. And she's like really struggling with this. Brilliant woman, okay? Brilliant woman. She's genuinely having a hard time with this. And then outside, she's telling me, like, see, this is to the right of me. This is to the left of me. This is to the right of me. This is in front, and this is like everything else behind here is just behind me. It's just back, right? But what if it's like right here, right? What if it's like right here? Well, see, that level of nuance is just lost, and it's all just behind her. You know what I'm saying? And it's subjective. It's an objective understanding where it's like, yeah, it's just behind me. That's just what it is. And you're just kind of wrong if you say anything different, right? That is that like really, that's like struggling to understand the difference between objectivity and subjectivity that people who struggle with this just simply have. And yeah, this conversation's already off the rails. I just don't know.
Well, that's missing. Something about the way, and now I'm making an objective statement, okay? It's not about blame. This is about assessing.
There's actually an energy in his voice where he is a little frustrated.
The way that you are.
You know what? That's one reason why I love autistic people so much. I actually like to get frustrated because it actually wakes me up. So that's actually just a positive for me, actually. So really, I don't mind it.
Existing on the internet. And
like, this conversation is funny. I enjoy thinking about this conversation.
Response that happens to you. There's something in here objectively that is disproportionate.
Yes.
Okay. And this is completely, and even if we say, oh, here's the reason and you're to blame for it, I don't think that there's any reason that we can come up with that justifies other people's behavior. Does that make sense?
On some of these cases, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
There really is. Honestly, they are unhinged.
Now, what I'm trying to get into is precisely this, which is your, and this sounds arrogant, but I'm
like, if we can't stand up and say like their behavior is bad, we've just lost all kind of moral clarity as a society. I do agree with that. So I do think it's objective. Like, no, you ain't gonna find any like logical reasons why you'd be coming up with death threats for this man, okay? Like, that's just unhinged.
So it's clear to me that you have blind spots about this, because something about the way that you are navigating, you have a rubric for how you interact with people. And something about that rubric is fucking triggering people. So what we're trying to do, so how did you...
Yeah, because people just don't like people who are autistic, and they don't like autistic traits.
How did you feel when I said that?
It's sad.
I thought it was funny because, like, I guess for me, it's a kind of a dumbing down of the scenario, right? Of like, yeah, it's triggering people, but it's so much more than that. But yeah.
Okay.
I think it's leading them to do things that I don't even understand the reasoning behind it on a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Right. So I think the end game that I have here is to hypothesize what could be responsible for that gap. So in my experience, when something like this happens to someone like you, I think you're a decent dude. I think it sounds like you made a smug comment and you ran away from the raid. It's a fucking hardcore raid. So I don't know what people were expecting. You know, like when you play WoW hardcore and you raid, sometimes things go bad and people die. Like, that's just what happens in a WoW hardcore raid. Like, what were people expecting? But I think what you're tapping into some energy that is like, that I think you're blind to. You don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And my point is,
he's repeating himself, and it's not really relevant. If like Jason doesn't understand what to do differently, it doesn't really matter.
That the reason it doesn't make sense to you is because of the way that you were looking at the world.
Oh, ew. No, fuck off, Mr. Harvard psychiatrist. Actually get the fuck out of here, that shit. Oh my God.
Which is that if you pay attention to your statements are coded very objectively. And so then what happens is once you start looking at the world in terms of proof or not proof, I don't know if you're right, I don't know if you're wrong, but the question then becomes...
Yeah, I know you don't.
How do two people that think that they are both operating based on reality, who disagree, how do we patch that up? How do we bridge that gap?
I mean, generally what I...
Dude, yeah, you can't look at evidence. Go to the court. Like, yeah, I understand proof is a bad word to use, and evidence is a better word. Man's autistic. He didn't know that.
See, with that kind of stuff is
that's the thing. That's the ailment. he's using a word that is just loaded in a way that just implies a bunch of things he's not aware of. That's what it is. That's why it's hard to have autism, right? This is why we have Autism Awareness Day and everything like that, because it's hard, bro. It's really hard.
The way that I like to do is you
People
kind of present
don't really
evidence and stuff, you talk
understand.
about it, you find out if you were right or if they were right, and sometimes you're both
Well,
wrong.
bro,
Right?
Mr. Harvard psychiatrist out here not understanding. That sucks.
Just comes out to that. You learn something, you move on. Sometimes when it's like, I find it to be disingenuous, right? And I will use that as an objective term.
Yep,
I find it to be disingenuous to have a person come in that is not interested in a resolution, that just wants to cause a hateful situation.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's most of what I'm getting with this. And when they can't get me, it makes them angrier. When they can't hurt me, it makes them angrier. When they can't do anything about it, they can't shut down the stream, it makes them angrier. We get tons of people who come in and say things like, people still watch this guy. It's like, yeah, we still have a massive community. People, hanging out here and doing stuff. So like, I feel like when I make those objective statements, it's because I go, this is how I have this.
Now remember, guys, people with autism are often misdiagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Very common in women. I wonder if it's equally as uncommon in as common as in gay men, right? That would be really interesting. Like gay men with autism, I wonder if like they get misdiagnosed with BPD just as often as women.
Situation for communication, and if you
like something similar is happening right now, and it's like really weird.
Only reason to be here is to cause problems, it's not going to be compatible. But if you want, and I tell people all the time, it's like, if you want to talk about this, we can talk about it. But if you're just here to copy paste something off of Reddit, cause a scene, and then get banned, like, we just don't care. It's going to ban you.
Okay. So I think what makes this,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think what makes this really challenging is not that you're wrong. I think what makes this hard is that you're right. Okay. So when you're wrong, it is easy to show a correction, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you're right, but incomplete, it becomes harder to show a correction. So
impossible, because the incompleteness comes from an incompleteness of perception, right? If you cannot sense something, you cannot properly interact with it. That's just the very basic nature of things, right? So, you're just simply asking the impossible of him.
Like, let's say that I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's like if I develop a product that is crappy, that is successful, that happens to be successful, it is way harder to understand how that crappy product is crappy. Does that make sense? And I'm not trying to analogize you to a crappy product. I'm really just using this as an example of I mean, I love your content. Like, I really do. I think you're a great guy. Like, I don't think you deserve this. I'm in your corner, okay? But you see what I mean? I'm just using that as an example of, like, if you make a crappy video game, right, and then, like, people play it, that doesn't make the video game good. And trying to explain to someone, hey, I know y'all think that Oblivion is an amazing game. I'd give it a 10 out of 10, but Oblivion is the start of the decline of the Elder Scrolls series. Oblivion is the first step in the wrong direction.
Oh my god, it's so funny he makes this analogy in this video. Bro, we got the Oblivion, the Cyrodiil map back here. Like, it's so funny he makes this analogy. I don't know, it's just interesting. I'm not even going anywhere with that.
To what ended up as Starfield. That is something for a lot of people to have difficulty understanding.
Yeah, I think it just bridges the gap in a way that is really good. Just because they ended up progressing too far along that trend of like main games for normies. Where is he even going with this? Am I lost? Maybe I need to go back. I need to make sure I'm not the one that's lost.
And then, like, people play it, that doesn't make the video game good. And trying to explain to someone, hey, I know y'all think that Oblivion is an amazing game. I'd give it a 10 out of 10, but Oblivion is the start of the decline of the Elder Scrolls series. Oblivion is the first step in the wrong direction to what ended up as Starfield. That is something for a lot of people to have difficulty understanding, right? Because Oblivion was a great game. It's a 10 out of 10. But if you want to really understand the glory that was Elder Scrolls, you have to play Morrowind.
There's so many thoughts.
And chat is very divided on this topic.
The chat is wrong. Like,
I don't know. Here's actually my problem right now. If you're saying that Oblivion is a 10 out of 10, that necessarily implies that Morrowind can't be better. Morrowind might even be worse in your mind. You actually need to give me a number for Morrowind right now for me to actually understand what you're saying. Now there's like an incompleteness in like your explanation of your own thoughts here, rather than an incompleteness in your perception of others, people's thoughts. Does that make sense? Whereas like autistic people, I feel like don't make this mistake, actually. Like, if Jason's explaining his opinion here, I'm going to actually know very well the difference between his perception on Oblivion and his perception on Morrowind. I'm actually going to get that pretty easily. I don't really understand what he's saying here, and I'm certainly not really sure what he's saying is good about Morrowind. Exactly. He just said that it's a glorious game. Maybe he thinks it's kind of a bad game, and it's just like good in a very unique way that only Morrowind can be. I actually just don't know.
They're wrong. It's okay.
Is he saying that Morrowind is really like an 11 out of 10? It's just quality. It's good. Peak in a way that no other game is. I don't know.
Sometimes I get to be right and they get to be wrong.
It's a very objective statement.
Absolutely, right? So, and how do people respond to that?
I mean, it depends on the context, right? I think that there are moments where you...
Yeah, people, you know what's funny is people are actually responding to your comment, Dr. K, very well. Nobody's actually mad at this. That's why this is actually a bad example.
It's funny.
Yeah, so I think what makes this...
Right, a lot of comments I'm making are a much better example, where I know people are going to be mad. High key, I hope they are.
Part of your situation is that everything that you say is correct. I just think it's incomplete. So what I'm basically getting a sense of is that you tend to, since you move away from some of this like emotional energy and you lean in. So the first thing that happens is once you suppress your like emotional circuitry, your emotions still influence your logic.
Okay. I can see that. I think in times of deep stress, that gets more so.
100%. It gets very, very, very good, right? So it's not that the emotions stop. It's just that we start dissociating from them. Dissociation doesn't mean shut down. It means unaware. And then what happens is the emotions will shape our logic. And it's not that they're illogical. It's that it becomes more selective.
Sure. I can see that. That makes sense.
And so
he's talking about ego. It's not emotions. It's sensory processing because he's autistic.
I think what's going on is like the story that you tell me has what I would call missing reasons. So I know.
Yes.
Oh, that's confusing. There's a great post about it that I think a therapist.
I think I'm just going to be looping the whole
sometimes
time
when people
now,
tell stories and like bad things are happening to them, they are leaving out things that evoke the response of the other people. So when you tell a story that other people...
Yeah, but not always on purpose. Sometimes on purpose. Because that's a good manipulation tactic. Does this man... Bro, ain't nobody think he's good at manipulating people, right? No, we can all agree on that. He ain't good at it. If he's trying, he's bad at it, okay? Surely we can agree with that. It's just not something that I think is of concern that he's going to go around like being a master manipulator. He's obviously, clearly, to everybody, not that guy.
People are just like crazy, and it's the internet, and it's parasocial, and people are reacting. There's something missing there. I don't think you can evoke... I mean, it's very possible that you were just incredibly, incredibly unlucky. I don't think that is a good attitude.
It actually is, though. It actually is. That is actually more accurate, though. Sometimes the true answer is inconvenient in many ways. And this is one of those times where the correct answer is just very inconvenient for a lot of people in many different ways.
I don't think it's good to script you. No, I think that removes any chance of fixing that. Yeah.
I suspect that there is something around your smugness. I suspect there is something around the way that you perceive yourself as ordinary, but you act anything but.
True. This is accurate.
Maybe even some degree of... Because I don't think you're ordinary. Like, I don't think that's objectively correct. Like, I think you're exceptional. Like, if we look at human beings, I think you're exceptional.
Yeah.
Like, if we look at the range of various things, you are not ordinary. If we look at the bell curve of content creators on Twitch, you are not ordinary.
Yeah.
So I would say in terms of that maybe, but like I just feel like a normal dude.
Yeah. See, think about Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker doesn't say this. Like, Hassan Piker is like never talking about himself like that. Right? He's not a normal dude. He is like this revolutionary. Like, he is like doing these really crazy, incredible things. Like, he's more likely to agree with this exceptional thing, right? Whereas Jason's not agreeing with this. I just feel like I'm a normal dude. He can't be lying. He just sucks too much at it. He can't be lying, right? he can't be manipulating people right now. He's terrible at it.
Yeah,
I feel like a normal dude that sits in a chair for 12 hours a
day. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think there are parts of you that are, and it sounds like you sometimes push these away. I think there's a lot more there. So you said
push these away. He doesn't see it in the first place. He can't be pushing it away.
You know, I feel like a normal dude. I think that makes sense. But I think there's a lot of feelings there about being a normal dude that maybe are not super conscious.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Right.
I'm not sure I understand, but I think that's kind of the point.
He doesn't understand. Of course he doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So and the challenge that I have is that I'm making statements that are unfalsifiable. Right. So if I say subconsciously, you don't.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is you're making unfalsifiable statements. And there's like a way to contradict you, which I guess is kind of what Dr. K is probably feeling right now, is he just got contradicted. And he's trying to see past that contradiction. Like he's trying to see how like a narcissist could say this and still be a narcissist. And this is like this fixation, right? This is why we have to have double blind studies. This is why we have to like have the researcher and the doctor not always aware of what's going on and stuff like that. Because he does already have a conclusion. And he is actually working backwards to justify the conclusion. But the conclusion, and well, just to be clear, as I first watched this video, I thought he was right. And I wouldn't say I was doing the same thing. I would say that I was just more ignorant of autism and how that just much better explains what we see with Pyre software. So, I mean, I get it, I guess, but
I think you're a normal dude. How can you ever disprove that? So this is one of the frustrations with my profession.
Yeah, but why are you even trying to disprove that, though? Why does that even come to your mind? Maybe he really does think that, though, right? Why don't you think about that? What if he actually does? Disprove that first.
Is that sometimes people like myself will make these statements, right? So I do this carefully, where like I'm not saying this is correct. I think it's worthwhile for you to explore how you construct a narrative, what people, and this is where I think what happens is when people react.
He actually doesn't, he can't, this is not helpful advice because if it's a difference of perception, like he sees the world differently, then the way he's constructing the narrative is never going to be suspicious to him, right? He's not going to be able to understand in that way. He actually has to see other people who see the world totally different than him, and then he can actually compare and contrast and be like, oh wait, I actually cannot do this. I actually can't see things like this, and this is starting to like make sense to me now because now I'm understanding the problem, right? He has to see other people perceive things in a depth that he cannot for him to be able to see the difference. Otherwise, he's just going to assume that everybody else sees things the way he does in terms of the inputs, the sensory processing, the inputs, but not necessarily the logical processing, which is why he's projecting the exceptionalism, right? He's like, other people just don't care. They're like being illogical. They have poor values, right? In some cases true, but he doesn't understand the difference between them and other people. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just like literally how you see the world, just the perception of things.
You look at the objectivity. I think that's a mistake because nothing you perceive will be objective. The human brain is not capable of objective perception.
I'm not sure exactly what he means by this
definition.
I do think there is an objective reality, and I do think that's something that there is value in striving for in many situations, because something I don't like is perception is reality. And I know that perception is reality for the grand majority of situations. It has nothing to do with the objective reality of what is truth of the situation, what actually.
I will say narcissists don't talk like that either. This is not a common narcissist position, right? And if a narcissist did kind of think this and they didn't care and they just lied anyway, they're not going to call attention to it by just bringing this up. They just wouldn't do this, right? There's so many things he says, like little things. It's like he just can't be a narcissist. It doesn't make sense.
Has occurred or anything like that. It's how do I feel about what occurred? And that's something I've always felt, and that's kind of like a big thing for me. Yeah.
Great, I love it. I agree with you 100%. And I would love to talk about that with you, maybe today, or maybe on a different day, just about the philosophy side of it.
I don't know.
But
if
I
I've
think my
spoken.
point is, so you're right. So like, there's an
Again.
objective reality. Agree. And perception is not objective reality. So when you look at objective reality and you conclude that this is what really happened, where are we? Is that objective reality or is that your perception?
That is my perception.
Very
100%.
good. Right.
When I talk about it, I think the disconnect is this. When I talk about something and I say it with, this is what happened, that's from my perspective. And I think maybe I'm not doing enough in terms of explaining this is from my perspective, this is how I feel about it. Because
well, even if you did, it wouldn't matter because you're still like just saying things in a way where you don't think that. So then it would just come off as you having more mixed signals. So that wouldn't help.
I don't talk that way generally.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't help if you did.
That's not what you should be doing. So I think this is key point. This is exactly it.
I'm glad
Dr.
Case
space
says that.
seems hard for you to grasp. You shouldn't be further explaining yourself. You should be further trying to understand why people feel this way about you.
But he can't because he's autistic. Do you see the problem? We're trying to we are trying to cure autism right now. That's what we're trying to do.
Right. So this is not about.
And it's been tried. And everybody's tried before it's failed. I think that's arrogant. That's the real arrogance. We're trying to cure autism. I ain't gonna try that. I can't do that.
What is objective? It is about what someone else's subjective perception of you is. And that will give you insight into how you are perceived, which in turn will give you an insight, an ability to bypass your own cognitive biases of your own perception. So if I want to understand what I really am,
I'll let him finish this.
I have a certain amount of information from myself, right? This is what I think I am. But then I have another very valuable piece of information, which is other people's perceptions of me. Now, this is where things get really hard because if people are sending you death threats, it becomes very difficult to get a reasonable perception of who you are from a heavily biased individual, right?
Yes.
So
yeah, that's impossible at that point.
I get that.
Bring it
So
on.
not impossible,
I'm sorry, I have to
right?
go
So this is where it's really interesting. But sometimes the people who hate you the most can still be very valuable information about how you exist in the world.
I agree with that. No, I
right?
super agree with that.
And the classic example of this is like in a relationship where there is one person who is narcissistic. So anytime we're dealing with narcissism, it becomes really hard for that person. Like this person will perceive other people as hating them. I think I'm not saying you're narcissistic or anything like that. And I think that there's a difference between a narcissistic family member who believes that I lost weight to make them look bad.
Well, I will say, I actually do think that Dr. K is being genuine here, that he would not diagnose with NPD right now because Jason is actually saying things that actually counter that. So I think that Dr. K is actually being quite genuine with that.
There's a huge objective gap.
What?
Yeah, so I lost weight. So I feel insecure about, person A feels insecure about their weight. Person B loses weight. Person A gets mad at person B for losing weight so that it makes them look bad. That shit happens. I think
that's weird as shit.
It's a wide gap between death threats that you're receiving, which I really do hope stop.
Yeah.
But my point is that I think the mistake you're making is that you say, I'm smug, and then you go into all of these other issues, whereas I think you're really downplaying, whether consciously or unconsciously or whatever. Maybe it's even objectively correct. I don't know. All I know is that when you do that, people are not going to be happy with it. And
well, you cannot downplay something that you do not perceive. That's the thing.
When they respond to you, we're not talking about right or wrong here. We're talking about efficacy or not efficacy. Trying to understand where they're coming from with their complaints, as opposed to, so basically steel manning their argument instead of straw manning their argument.
Okay. No, I mean,
right?
I think the thing is that's what I tried to do in the beginning, and I have not done that since. I think I stopped doing that about 30 days in. I tried to sit down and talk to people about it. I tried to ask people like, hey, why are you saying that? And each time that I tried to do that, like I said, the callus kind of built up. It would end in just screaming the same thing over again until they get banned. And I haven't been able to get like a valid, real conversation out of it. I think the biggest thing is that I've only been able to receive really polarized responses. I either get people from our community, they're like, no, you're the best. You didn't do anything wrong, which is not true. Like, obviously I screwed up in the dungeon, right? Like that's obvious and I was smug about it. Like, get it, right? And then there's the other side of it, which is you're a piece of shit and you deserve to die. And I'm like, dude, these are so polarized. What am I supposed to get?
Yeah. So the solution that I am suggesting works with humans.
We're going to pick it back up here in part 3. Yeah, so this is kind of hard to watch for me. Man, the part where he said that right? It's like the way he's constructing a narrative or whatever. It was just like, oh god. I mean, I'm not upset at Dr. K or anything like that. I don't know. I don't always seem that way, right? But that is just genuinely how I react to things, right? Sometimes it's like highly confrontational. And you know, from my perspective, I mean, to be fair, you do be like doing this man dirty, okay? Seriously. That's why I'm making the video. That's why I'm gonna go through the whole damn thing. I don't want to do it. I feel like I've already kind of said what I need to say about the whole video. But no, I'm gonna go through the whole damn thing because I think it's important. So if anyone's looking to stick it with me to the end, you're very more than welcome. I'll see you next in part 3.